Picture this. You hurt your back again. So, you call up the old chiropractor, get yourself adjusted, get the snap, crackle, and pop. Then you decide to twist your arms pretty hard, bend over a few times, hit the old regular stretches that you received from your physical therapist a few years ago whenever you hurt your back again. Head to the gym the next day, go to pick up a 40-pound dumbbell, and zing, ooh, ouch. You felt that one too. Same stretches, same strengthening stuff that you've been doing for the past couple of years and a while, just isn't doing the trick. So you want to build the back of your dreams, something that's strong, that can handle heavy loads, and doesn't falter like a wet noodle every time you bend over to pick up something that's more than 20 pounds.
Oh, I'm hurt. Oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh.
So through a lot of outdated physical therapy, thoughts on building of core strength through abdominal exercises, glute strengthening exercises, planks, all these other easy to do exercises that are performed in the clinic, I feel the way of building an extremely strong lower back through a full range of motion has been lost. So please don't get me wrong. I do believe that there is a time and a place for your transverse abdominis contractions, your clamshells, bird dogs, dead bugs, side planks, and all of the above when it comes down to physical therapy. But there's a time and a place. When it comes to the healthy population and building a very strong lower back, I don't think that these exercises will get the job done for you. And unfortunately, through a lot of teaching of how to properly lift weights, whether that be bend with your knees, don't lift with your back, and pictures that kind of show the proper way to lift, the idea of loading the lumbar spine through a range of motion with weight has often been deemed as dangerous and not safe for your spine. But trust me, it is safe, and your lower back can handle a lot more than what you think it can. So in today's video, I want to give you around 5 to 10 exercises that I use personally in the gym and in the clinic with my patients to strengthen the lower back, and the ones that I have used for the past years in my competitive weightlifting career to keep my lower back strong and healthy, in which I've only had 1 to 2 lower back pain instances that lasted a few days.
Okay, let's go.
So if you're wondering where to start, here's a few key things that you must be able to do in order to really start training your lower back to a very high degree and start loading that lumbar spine. First one is have endurance and having no pain with it. So we got to be able to handle the loading of the lower back for longer periods, up to an hour for our sessions. We got to build the endurance base. That's our main beginning that's going to happen. So the spine must move through a full pain-free range of motion. Can you handle bending fully over and bending backwards with minimal pain? If so, you're probably ready to start beginning the strength training with our isometric exercises we'll talk about next. So as you can see, we're going to start on the stomach, going to raise up off our chest by squeezing the lower back, the glutes, hamstrings. Then you go to raise the legs up off the ground, move the arms out to the side, start to increase the difficulty of it. Then arms up top, full up Superman.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
So when you begin the Jefferson curl, start on an elevated box, kind of like I'm doing here, and then slowly curl the chin down and let everything kind of tilt over like I'm doing here. Start with body weight and then progressively work up to a kettlebell like I'm going to show here next. And then to finish up on our last 3 exercises, we have a back extension isometric hold, which you'll see here, squeezing the low back, the glutes, hamstrings, getting that all fired up for a longer period of time. Try to do about 30 seconds to a minute on these exercises of just holding and getting the low back to pump up and feel. Next is the reverse hyperextension. As you can see, you flip around and then you're raising the legs up, squeezing the glutes, hamstrings, low back. Then if you don't have access to a GHD machine, you can use the Roman chair, which is at the 45-degree angle, like you'll see here in the picture. And the last exercise is the reverse plank. As you'll see, the feet and the shoulders are supported on 2 separate parts. Then what you're going to do is squeeze the glutes, lower back, and the hamstrings in order to prevent your hips from dropping down. Feel free to add some weight right on top of the hips, like a 25-pound plate, 45-pound plate, or whatever you can really handle. With that being said, as we round out the beginning exercises, know that these ones aren't the large strength building exercises that we're going to start seeing later on, such as the deadlift variations, But these ones are going to lay that base foundation of building that muscular endurance in the lower back and getting you tolerable to working your lower back for longer periods of time. Moving on to our next set of back exercises.
So are you ready for this?
So this category of exercises mainly focuses on loading the front side of your body. So when you load the front side, what's going to happen is that weight that's pulling you down in the front is going to give you what we call a flexion moment. And it's going to create a lot of torque in the lower back. So it's going to really fire up those extensors to prevent your trunk from bending forward to hold your back and back extension. And the main thing really to focus on with these front loaded carries is you don't want to lean too far forward, you don't want to lean too far back. You want to be in this nice straight up standing position. Too far back, just about right there. That's where you want to be when you're carrying these heavy weights out front. And a classic front squat for you. So like I said, I really like the front-loaded carry exercises because you get to load the front of the body, and you're also walking, kind of challenging that lower back, and you're also getting that isometric contraction of the lumbar extensors to keep you in a nice upright position. So don't be afraid to start to load these up really heavy with weight out in front of yourself. Get some heavy sandbags going, heavy medicine balls, anything that you have in the gym that's available to you. Moving on to the intermediate advanced exercises. Let's go. So this one's definitely got a lot of my favorite exercises in them. And really the weighted back extensions and the reverse hyperextensions are just weighted versions of the isometric holds that we did earlier. You're just going to add load, you're just going to make it more difficult, and you're going to move throughout that range of motion and start to really build the strength, as in back extension and then reverse hyperextension. So both different ways, very good exercises. And then good mornings are another really, really good exercise that gets a lot of flack because people do them wrong all the time. Instead of really taking their time, hinging forward, and keeping their back as flat as they can, and really feeling that tension in the low back, the hamstrings, and the glutes. And then if you want to progress the good mornings to make them much more difficult, move yourself to a seated good morning. Takes the hamstrings out of the equation and puts a lot more load in the lower back. And here it is, the home stretch, the creme de la creme. These are the deadlift variations.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
And these are exercises that if you want a strong back, you must be doing. As a matter of fact, you need these exercises in order to have a really strong back.
And I need you.
So the first exercise I want to talk about is a conventional deadlift. And that's your standard pick it up from the ground and put it back down. Generally, you have the knees kind of bent a little bit more, so you can kind of get the quads involved depending on your stance and what kind of deadlift you do. But it's going to be a really good exercise for building just overall body strength and really taxing that lower back. Next on the list is your common Romanian deadlift. Starting at the hips, this is the one where you're going to hinge over, kind of that same pattern like a good morning, except the load is in your hands. So you hinge down, really feel the tension in the hamstrings, the glutes, and the lower back, and then raise back up. This is a very good exercise for building isometric lower back strength, but also eccentrically taxing the glutes and hamstrings. And one of the easiest ways to progress the Romanian deadlift and make it more difficult by challenging the lower back is to widen the grip into a snatch grip Romanian deadlift, often used a lot by weightlifters and myself included. It's a very good exercise for challenging the lower backs and also teaching you to engage the lats to keep that bar close to you and not let your back round too much. Our next exercise, and one of the most taxing lower back exercises in my opinion, is a stiff-legged deadlift. The stiff-legged deadlift is another exercise that often gets seen as very dangerous, and it's often because your legs are stiff, right? They're completely straight, so it does put the lower back in some sort of spinal flexion, but there's no need to be in a whole lot of spinal flexion. There's an easy way to do that by tightening the lats and increasing the lower back tension. So when in doubt, a lot of the times just having the legs straight can classify as a stiff leg deadlift, but this is not a stiff leg deadlift that you want to be doing right here.
Emotional damage.
Bend in the knee and tighten up the back as tight as you can. Think about pushing your hips through, squeezing the glutes, and keeping the lower back tight throughout the whole movement. Then with the stiff leg deadlift, or make things a little harder, widen that grip out to the snatch grip stiff leg deadlifts. Oh yeah. The last one, and probably the absolute most taxing on the lower back and just the back in general, is going to be the Zercher deadlift and the Zercher squat.
Jesus.
The Zercher deadlift is done all the way from the floor and almost a maximally flexed spine. And then the Zercher squat is basically a deadlift up to the knees, and then you go from there, just like in the videos that I kind of showed. This is your advanced exercise. Majority of the population can get away with not even doing these and still get a very strong back. But if you're absolutely crazy and insane, then this is something that you're going to love, just like I've liked the Zercher squats in the past as well. So we finished the last slide. You've gotten a lot of information about back exercises and which ones to do to help build a strong back. And now you're probably wondering, well, what's next now? How do I use these exercises in my workout, and what kind of sets and rep schemes do I need to be doing with these? Well, remain calm.
Procedure, everyone. What's the procedure? Stay calm.
So the first things you need to do, if you're very new to training your lower back and really focusing on intently targeting the erector spinae, is to really focus on the form, and then make sure you feel your lower back working and feel your lower back. Get a pump going. Feel like tightness sometimes coming on in the lower back over weight. Don't go up on weight very much to begin with. Really focusing on those isometric exercises that we talked about in the beginning, such as the Superman, the back extension hold, the reverse hyper hold. All those ones are going to help really build that lower back base and really just get you to feel your lower back working and feel a pump and get more blood flowing into it. And so you can see in this here example program, we have the Supermans, which is 3 sets of 30 seconds, and then reverse hyperextensions for 3 sets of 30 seconds, and Jefferson curls 3 sets of 5 reps. So what that's going to do, it's going to put a lot of stress on the lower back, but it's really going to be challenging a lot over a period of time, building that muscular endurance. So those holds, you want you to do at least 30 seconds to a minute, and even go up to 2 minutes for some. And then those Jefferson girls take very slow and focus on getting that full range of motion. Then, as you start to get more comfortable, your back starts to feel stronger, progress to the loaded range of motion exercises like the back extensions, the reverse hypers, and then a front load carry for 3 sets of 30 seconds. As you can see, I got a little one written out there for you. So you're already starting to progress yourself to a little bit of weight, moving that lumbar spine through ranges of motion with a little bit of weight. And the other thing too is to focus on like 3 sets of 10, or 3 sets of 5, 3 sets of 15, somewhere in that range with the weight. You don't want to go up too high and really stress the lower back, but you also want to stress it enough. So I like to keep the rep range between like 5 to 15 when it comes to the loaded exercises in the intermediate to advanced intermediate category. So now we've completed all the prerequisites, and it's time to advance to the barbell movements. First thing you got to make sure you have is that full pain-free range of motion, and make sure you're confident with bracing the core and that you feel ready to start picking up that barbell with some weight on it. So example program here is barbell deadlifts, 4 sets of 5, to a barbell Romanian deadlift at 4 sets of 4, barbell good morning, 3 sets of 8, and then a reverse plank for 3 sets of 1 minute. Last couple things is don't be afraid to load yourself up with the weight whenever you feel comfortable. Your back needs to be challenged, and your back is much stronger than you have ever thought your back was. It's very resilient, it can take a lot of beating, and it's meant to move. And last, don't progress too rapidly, because when you go into those really intense barbell movements with a lot of weight that you're not ready for, there is a risk for injury. Just like there's a risk for injury with everything, right? There's a risk and reward ratio, so weigh out the pros and the cons. Don't be afraid to take it a little bit slower, because you'd rather be safe than sorry than walk out of the gym with an injury, right?
Yeah, boy. Fire.
And with that being said, thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something about strengthening your lower back and why it's important for you to do so. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my social media in the description, and check me out on Huff's Physical Therapy and SC.com. And please contact me for all your programming, training, and even physical therapy evaluation needs. Thanks, and have a great day.